Oi! Oi! Hey, guys. All right, so we are on our second week of our series called The Good Life, and last week I talked about how the good life is the life that follows God, and in order to have that type of life, the good life, the way that God intended us for us to live life, we have to have wisdom. We have to look at the world the way that God looks at it. We have to make the decisions that God would make. And we need his power in order to do those things. So that's what I talked about last week. Today, we're going to talk about another thing that you need in order to live the good life. So if you have a handout, I have a question for you. If you don't have a handout, you can grab one up front, or you can do it in your head, whatever. But here's the question. I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? So ask yourself what you want to be known for and write it down. Like if other people say things about you, what do you want them to be saying? That you have a roguish charm? That you can leap tall buildings in a single bound? Your nose never has boogers in them? The worst is when you have boogers and someone pinches your nose and it's like the sharp kind and it scrapes the inside of your nostril. Anyone else have that happen? Okay, we have a few honest people in the room. All right. So what are some of the things that you guys put down? Who's willing to share? What do you want to be known for? You're not telling me, Sienna? Okay, yeah. What's that? Talent. So you want to be known for being talented? Okay. What are some other things? Yeah. Let's go with positive things. Yeah, there you go. All right, next. Huh? Inventing things. Okay. So being creative, that could be another thing as well, yeah? Sports, so being athletic. Being kind and helpful. For music, what do you play? Trying to learn how to play guitar? When you learn how to play, talk to Jacob. Yeah, Jackson. So you want to be known for your propensity for destruction? All right, last one. Here, shh, can't hear. What's that? For playing your instrument well. What do you play? The bassoon? What? That's so cool. All right. Remember the event cards. If you have an event coming up, you need to fill one out. I want to watch you play bassoon. All right. So that's some pretty cool stuff. Those are awesome things, and we want to be known for some really, really good things. So what is it called if people know something about you before they even meet you? What is it called? Charlie? Your reputation. Who's ever heard that word before? Reputation. All right. So, if you have your handouts, write this down. What you're known for equals your reputation. What you're known for equals your reputation. Your reputation is what people know about you, what they've heard, what they've seen, things like that. And so, when I was asking you guys what you want to be known for, positive things, being athletic, being smart, being creative, being able to do the thing that you love really, really well. Who wants to be a good listener? Who wants to have a reputation for being a good listener? What about a reputation for being a good friend? Right? So there are some things that we want to have good reputations for. We want that to be what people think of when they hear about us or what they think about us. Okay? And then there's also, fellas, there's the other side of that as well. So you can have a positive reputation, but you can also have a negative reputation. And what are some negative reputation things? It might be you're quick-tempered, or you're impatient, or you say mean things, or you gossip behind people's back, or you're a cheater. Like there's other things that can happen with your reputation as well. So you can have a good reputation for these positive things, but depending on how you're acting and interacting with other people, you can get a bad reputation as well. And here's the thing, guys. Your reputation can say a lot about your character. Your reputation can say a lot about your character. And the reason why I say can is this. And this should have been on the handout, but write this down. There are parts of your reputation you can control, and there are other parts that you can't. Go ahead and go to the next slide. There are parts of your reputation that you can control, and there are other parts that you can't. There it is. All right. So, I'll give you guys, and this is why I say your reputation can say a lot about your character. I'll give you an example of something that you can't control, okay? So, how many of you, when you're thinking of something, you just kind of stare off into the void? Yeah, me too. I'll do that a lot. There will be times where people are like, Ryan, Ryan, Ryan! And I'm just sitting there going, spittle coming down my mouth. And so, but imagine you're taking a test, and you are thinking of the answer to a question, and you're just thinking. And then when everything comes into place and the hamster starts running again and all that stuff in your mind, you realize that you are looking straight at your neighbor's paper. And you didn't do that intentionally. You were just staring off into space. But then other people see that and they go, oh, that kid's a cheater. And you might talk to them afterward and say, no, this is what was going on. And they say, no, you're a cheater. I saw you cheating, da-da-da-da-da. There are some things where sometimes people just talk, and they're not interested in getting to know who you are. They just say things about you, or they're being mean, or things like that. And you can't control that. So I'm just letting you guys know there are things that can happen, and it's not even really your fault. I mean, there's sometimes other people are just kind of difficult to be around, and they're just difficult people. And you might get part of your reputation, and it's just flat out not true. And that's a tough thing to be in, and it can hurt our feelings, and it can make it really, really difficult in school life. So I'm letting you guys know those types of things can happen. But today I want to focus on the stuff that you can control, the parts of your reputation that are completely up to you. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Awesome. So we're going to dive into that. And our next point is this. It's on the handout. What you do and say tells people a lot about who you are. What you do and say tells people a lot about who you are. Again, this can be good or bad. If you are being kind and you're making good choices and things like that, then people can know about that before they even meet you. They can know you're a legit person before they even see you face to face. But on the other side of that, if you talk about people behind their back, if you bully people, stuff like that, you can have that reputation as well. And people can know about you before that, before they even meet you. And they know, I'm going to avoid you. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a dad the other day, and he was talking about his daughter being at camp. And when they went to camp, he was a leader as well, but when they went to camp, he said to his daughter straight up, I don't want you hanging out with those kids over there. If you hang out with those kids over there, you're in trouble with me. Why do you think he told her that? Because they had a bad reputation, and he didn't want them getting involved with that, his daughter getting involved with that stuff. That's awesome. So it's awesome that he was able to have that conversation with his daughter. It's unfortunate that those other kids are making decisions to where people already know, don't hang out with those kids. That's a bad deal. That is not going to happen, or that's not going to be good. So if we have a good reputation, it can go a long way in helping us in life. If we have a bad reputation, it can make things really, really difficult. How many of you guys, I'll give you an example. Very high-profile person. Well, maybe one or two of you have heard of this guy. How many of you have heard of Kanye West? Kanye, right? Who can tell me what's going on with Kanye right now? What's the deal with Kanye? Why is he in the news? Juliana, what's up? Yeah, so he's become a Christian. And he's come out and said that he is a believer, that he believes in Jesus, that Jesus has set him free. Now, the interesting thing about this is people seem to be divided about whether they think it's legit or not. And why do you think that's the case? Well, yeah, he has a reputation. Kanye has a reputation for just being very big and eccentric is a word for it, where he just he does things to get publicity. So a lot of people are worried about that. Landis, do you have something else? Okay, so he's married to Kim Kardashian. There's that as well. But Kanye has a reputation for kind of just doing things and getting publicity, okay? So there are some people, there are a lot of Christians that are saying this is legit and we need to support him. And then there are other people that are saying they're skeptical. They're just not sure if it is what it is. So we're, and you know, people are taking sides. It's a very interesting thing. We're going to get back to that in a minute. But there's a case of this in the Bible as well. This isn't, you know, real life isn't the only place this has happened. The Bible is real life as well. And the things that we see in real life, we can find in the Bible as well, because God wants us to know about these things. So turn to Acts chapter 9. Acts, the book of Acts. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke. If you're in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. If you need help, we have plenty of leaders that are legit. They have a reputation for finding Acts chapter 9. They are hardcore. I know. That's how I roll. All right? If you need help, raise your hand. If you find it and your neighbor has not found it, help your neighbor out. All right, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of setup with this. There was a guy named Saul, and this wasn't the king of Israel. This is the guy who eventually became Paul. And what do we know about Saul? You guys have heard this story a lot. Zach, what do we know about Saul? He persecuted Christians, meaning that he would try to get them in jail. He would make their lives miserable. That's what Saul really, he thought he was serving God by hurting people that believed in Jesus. And so that was Saul's reputation. People knew him left and right as the guy that was putting Christians in chains. And actually Christians, he was there when a Christian was stoned to death, and he approved. He was holding everyone's coat. He was saying, have at it, guys. Have fun, right? So Saul had this reputation everywhere of being someone who persecuted Christians, who made life miserable for people who believed in Jesus. And so we already know the other part of the story where he's on the road to Damascus and God appears to him, Jesus appears to him, and then bam, he converts. He becomes a follower of Jesus after that. So we're going to pick up the story right after that, and this is verse 20. So Acts chapter 9, verse 20, okay? And immediately Saul began preaching about Jesus in the synagogues, saying, he is indeed the Son of God. All who heard him were amazed. Isn't this the same man who caused such devastation among Jesus' followers in Jerusalem? They asked. So what was his reputation? His reputation was that he caused if you believe in Jesus, this guy was your enemy. Do not be around this guy. He is not a happy camper if you believe in Jesus. That was his rep, okay? And didn't he come here to arrest them and take them in chains to the leading priests? Saul's preaching became more and more powerful, and the Jews in Damascus couldn't refute his proofs that Jesus was indeed the Messiah. After a while, some of the Jews plotted together to kill him. They were watching for him night and day at the city gate so they could murder him, but Saul was told about their plot. So during the night, some of the other believers lowered him in a large basket through an opening in the city wall. How hardcore is that? Like that's how his following Jesus starts. He preaches Jesus, and then people want to kill him. And so he's got to get lowered out of the wall in a basket. Who's ever been lowered out of anything in a basket? I have not. I want to be. All right. So, verse 26. When Saul arrived in Jerusalem, he tried to meet with the believers, but they were all afraid of him. Why were they afraid of him? Because his reputation was that he was causing devastation with Christians. So, of course, they're going to be like, don't let him in the house. No. He's going to take us to jail, right? So they heard about him. They knew about him. He had a rep. And so when he came, they were like, I I ain't doing that. I ain't playing that game. You stay outside. Then they did not believe he had truly become a believer. Then Barnabas brought him to the apostles and told them how Saul had seen the Lord on the way to Damascus and how the Lord had spoken to Saul. He also told them that Saul had preached boldly in the name of Jesus in Damascus. So thankfully, God used Barnabas, a friend of Saul, who met him and saw, okay, this is legit, and he helped get him in. So Saul stayed with the apostles and went all around Jerusalem with them, preaching boldly in the name of the Lord. So he started out with this rep of, if you believed in Jesus, stay clear of this dude. And then eventually, after meeting Jesus, he realized, no, this is the way to live life. And he went complete opposite. And then his reputation completely changed, where his rep was, this dude's going to tell you about Jesus. This dude's living in a way that's completely different than everyone else. And a lot of people saw that and said, I want that. And a lot of other people saw that and said, kill him. It's crazy. But like apparently with Saul, there is no middle ground. He eventually became Paul. With Paul, there was no middle ground. He was always passionate about whatever it was. That was his reputation as well, I imagine. But he had this terrible reputation, and then eventually it ended up turning around. And he had to prove to people that he was different. And it was crazy. And then his reputation was, hey, you need to know Jesus. I know Jesus. Jesus saved me from my sins. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. You need to know him too. And it completely changed how Paul lived his life. So we're going to go back to Kanye. So is Kanye really a Christian? I don't know. I don't know Kanye. I have never met Kanye. I can't, I'm not Barnabas in this situation. I'm not the guy who knows Saul and says, no, he's legit. Like, I haven't met Kanye, so I don't know for sure. I hope so. I hope it's legit. And whether it's legit or not, Jesus' name is being preached. I mean, it's being preached by that dude like crazy. And so I can get behind that no matter what. That's huge. So my hope and my prayer is that it's legit. And I have some advice for you guys in hearing about this, because a lot of people, they hear about this and then they just form an opinion. Rather than doing that, I recommend, one, I pray you pray for him, whether it's real or not. Pray for Kanye. That dude is in a very public place. He has a lot of people looking at him. If it is real and he knows Jesus, he has a wonderful opportunity to tell more people about Jesus. An amazing opportunity. I mean, his latest album, that's what that whole thing is about letting people know about Jesus. If he keeps that fire up, that's huge. God could totally use Kanye. So pray for him. Two, remember, just because someone meets Jesus doesn't mean they magically become perfect. There are way too many people that they hear of someone meeting Jesus and then they're looking for mistakes. Have you guys seen that? It's the most annoying thing ever. And if that person makes a mistake, oh, well, he must not know God. Okay, how many of you guys have ever made a mistake before? Right? We've all made mistakes. So, and that's where my third thing comes in. Rather than focusing all up on him, focus on your own walk with God. Focus on you. Focus on your reputation. Am I the type of person where they're going to come up to me? Well, or rather, am I the type of person where if I told people I'm a Christian, people would go, I don't believe it? If that is the case, that's really, really sad. And that's something that you can start working on. So focus on your own walk. Be praying for Kanye, because I think that has the potential to be something awesome. We'll just see. All right? So back to our reputation. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1. Go ahead and bring up that verse for me. It says, this is Solomon, who was the wisest man in the world, so it's probably a good idea to listen to some of the things that he has to say. He says, choose a good reputation over great riches. Being held in high esteem is better than silver or gold. What does it mean to be held in high esteem? Who can tell me? Huh? Praise? Let's think about it more like respected. People respect you. People think, oh, that dude's legit. That girl's legit, right? That's what it means to be held in high esteem. It means that people look up to you. People see you and go, oh, okay, I like what I see here, right? So choose a good reputation over great riches. A lot of people have a lot of money, and their character is garbage. They're just jerks, or they're dishonest. They use dishonest means to get all of that money. That's not good. Solomon's saying here, God is telling us here, a good reputation, that's the biggest thing, man. That's the biggest thing. You want to have a good reputation because it affects everything else that you do. And then being held in high esteem, what people think matters to an extent. To an extent. And so, how many of you don't care what people think? Like, you can honestly say you don't care. You're like, whatever, I'm going to do me, right? And that's an awesome thing. This can be good because our value doesn't come from what other people think about us. It comes from what God thinks about us. At the same time, just be careful. It's good to not care what other people think to a degree. It's also important to listen to if you have strong people in your life who care about you and love you, it's important. Let me try that again. It's important to listen to them. Okay? So there's that. How many of you care too much what other people think? Really? Okay. So we have two honest people in the back. All right? Me, I'm a little bit of both. There are some areas of my life where I'm like, bump you, I don't care. And then there's other areas of my life where I care way too much what other people think, right? What other people think does matter to an extent. We want to be good examples for other people. We want to be the type of people that other people look to and go, I want that. Because if other people aren't looking at you and saying, I want that, then Jesus isn't working in you. You're not letting him do it, right? We want to care more about what God thinks about us. And regardless of whether we don't care what people think or we do care too much what people think or we're somewhere in the middle depending on what things are, we need to ask God, what's going on inside of me? What's going on inside of me? What do I need to give to you, God? And then also ask God to give you his character because it all comes from him. So our last point is this. If you want the good life, seek good character and a good reputation. If you want the good life, seek good character and a good reputation. And I'll end it on this. I have these two switch questions. First one is this, the question that I asked at the beginning. What do I want to be known for? If it's not on there, I highly recommend that all of you fill in your character. My hope is that all of us would want to be known for our character. So if you didn't write that down, I highly recommend that you write that down. What do I want to be known for? And then the other question is this. Are the choices I'm making positively or negatively affecting my reputation? Are the choices I'm making helping people see me in a better light? Or are the choices I'm making helping people say, no, stay away? That's an important thing for all of us to ask ourselves, all right?